Good morning, everyone. So, I'm cruising around my server seeing what software I can get rid of, because it's obsolete and so on and so forth, and I come across this. Let me play this for you. Yeah, remember that sound? Yeah, I remember that sound. Those were the good old days. Now, if you're not familiar with that sound because you're a part of the younger generation, I had to look at the screen. Let me show you. Let me bring it over. Ah, yes. Remember those days? A lot of the older people kind of remember this. This is Windows XP. And I had it as an installation ISO. And so I was able to make it into a virtual machine. Now, we've talked about this before with virtual machines, that sometimes what we do for our clients, if they have old software that they still want to preserve, but it just will not run on Windows 10, we'll make them a virtual machine, and then we can install the software on their virtual machine to make it work. There is some downside to this. Obviously, if the computer shuts off and the virtual machine shuts down improperly, it can cause some havoc. So again, going back to one of my previous videos, backup. But yeah, there we go. Virtual machine Windows XP. And, in all of its glory. The original, I think that's probably version 6 of Internet Explorer. MSN browser. I ain't seen that in years. Windows Messenger. I thought they killed that off a long time ago. I think on the newer versions of like Office 365, they call it Teams, or there's a messenger program built into this. But yeah, this was a standalone Windows Messenger back to the days of like ICQ and AOL and stuff like that. So yeah, but see, we was talking about how much Windows has changed. This is old. There's the menu button, and I think I showed you in a previous video about how if you had just migrated over to Windows 10 coming from Windows 7, you might want the old-fashioned menu start button because that's what you're used to. We can now, there's software that allows us to install it on your Windows 10 to give that more Windows 7 or Windows XP feel, because this is what your Windows start button looks like. So, yeah, good old XP. I was surprised to see that I had it. I also found Windows 98, and I've tried it a couple of times to get it to install through a virtual machine so I could show it. But yeah, it's just not going to work. And it's probably because the virtual machine technology, this is VMware, it's just, even it's gotten so advanced that it just will not run a virtual machine of Windows 98 second edition. So I tried to get that one up and running for you so you all could see it. But yeah, here's the old XP, and there's your display properties, and you can change your desktop settings, or your wallpapers. Yeah, good old XP. And this is probably like one of the most famous photos, because this was XP. This was like the backdrop for XP forever and a day. In fact, the person who took this photo and Microsoft paid him royalties for it. I don't want to say he became rich off of it, but he did pretty good off of this image, just so you're aware of that. So, but yeah, if you have older software that only runs on Windows XP, will not run on Vista, will not run on 7. If you have CNC machinery, and you need to preserve a Windows XP machine, we do have the capability of creating a Windows XP machine for you. It might take a while to put it together because, well, they just don't make machines or computers that are designed for XP anymore. So we have to go and find one and build it up a little bit, and usually it's going to be all used or refurbished parts. Finding one that is new is no, most likely no. If we find one new, I would be surprised. That if you're finding a machine that's that old and it's new, yeah, no. But we can still build the XP machines if we have to. It's funny, people will drop off their computers for recycling. 98% of the old ones that do come in that are serviceable and functioning, they go over for recycling to Goodwill, but we will hang on to one or two of them just in case someone with an old CNC machinery that needs an XP system. We still have the capability of building it. But yeah, there you go. Probably the first thing that we do, though, is see if it can be done virtually through a virtual machine like this. Sometimes you can, because you can add, these devices here. As you can see, even the Windows XP is looking at the web camera. It does see it, so that's good. It's actually reading the cooling system that's in the desktop computer. So, yeah, it does see it. And, if you have a physical card that goes into the XP or goes into the computer and it has to be connected via an XP, there's a good possibility. It's not 100% guaranteed, but there is a possibility that you could still put the machine or the card in the machine, provided there is a corresponding slot. And then we might be able to do a virtual machine and pull it in that way. Then you can hook it up to whatever your CNC machine is. But yeah, if we can't do that, then we'll build you an old XP machine just for that purpose. So, and I've got 2 or 3 clients who are still using CNC machines that are Windows XP based. So we try and hang on to, like I said, a couple of different ones just for that purpose, just in case we need it. But again, virtual XP. If you've got like the old QuickBooks, I've got a client who's got QuickBooks 95, and he still uses it to this day. But when I upgraded him up to a new computer, which was Windows 10, I had to put the virtual machine on, and then I had to put his QuickBooks 95 on the virtual XP machine to make it work. Now, the only downside to that is it doesn't like to talk to printers very well. You can do them. They will do it. But most of the time what you end up having to do is, excuse me, most of the time what you have to do is when you're doing reports like that, you have to save them in a PDF format and then put them onto a flash drive. But yeah, I can still make it work for you. So yeah, there's your story. Hope you find it interesting. This was by far the predominant operating system for, I want to say, over a decade. In fact, when Windows Vista came out and Windows 7 came out, 7 came out and started taking over for XP. But yeah, no one wanted to give up XP because it took them probably, much like Windows 10 and much like Windows 7, took 5-6 years to get the operating system to a point that it was completely and totally functional for what people wanted it to work. If I loaded up like the original version of Windows 10, you look at it and say, what monstrosity is this? But what you're seeing now with Windows 10 has now been in circulation for 5-6 years. With all the updates and all the patches, it makes it very functional. Every once in a while, there's a patch or an update that screws up your computer. You know who you are. I've had to fix your computers, and it's a pain in the butt. And there's videos on there about how to restore it and stuff like that. XP had a very, very similar system with that. Under the control panel, you had your administrative tools, So, but XP was probably one of the best operating systems that Microsoft had ever created, and it wasn't like that when it first started. It took about 5 years after it was out in the world, in the wild per se, before it got there. So, yeah, XP. If you need a copy of it, if you need a virtual machine of it, we can still do that for you and install old software on it. Oh, excuse me, I got hiccups today. We can still put it on there if you've got a CNC machine. Like I said, if it will work via a virtual machine, great. If not, we can build you an XP machine for your CNC devices, your drill presses, your lathes, and stuff like that. So, yep, there you go. Ta-da! We all remember it. So, anyways, let me get rid of this here and remind you, if you found this useful, like, share, subscribe. If you don't have a Google account, you can go over to Facebook and add us up. Questions, need to have us fix your computer, give us a call. there's our address. Like I said, always best to give us a call. Usually during the day from like 8 o'clock in the morning till about 2, 3 in the afternoon. I'm the only one here, so if I have to go out on emergency service calls, I have to close the store, and I would hate for you to drive all the way over here thinking that I'll just drop it off and no one's here. So definitely call first before you come over. So again, like, share, subscribe. Find us on Facebook. I'll talk to you all later. You guys have a good day.